Now on CoastTV News.
Substation compromise, the deal between Democrats and Republicans that allows the signing into law a controversial Delaware bill.
Signal strength solution, the plan Ocean City officials are looking at today to improve cellular service during big music festivals in the town.
Restaurant restrictions, the limits on Delaware establishments going into effect today.
A hot and humid day for Delmarva, then the potential for strong to possibly severe storms this evening. Then rain lingers into Wednesday, then a gorgeous 4th of July holiday weekend on the way. Forecast details coming up.
This is CoastTV News Today.
And it is July 1st, 2025. Good morning, I'm Matt Pensick.
And good morning, I'm Elisa Weber. Thank you for joining us for our 5 o'clock hour.
July 1st, a new month, and we're closing in on a holiday weekend, which it's always a big weekend here.
It always is a big weekend here. I'm assuming in the next day or two, we're gonna see an increase in traffic. I'm sure people took off more than just Friday.
Yes, I think you're right on that. We might even see that traffic increase today.
Honestly, we probably could, and the weather, it's really thick and warm outside. I walked out this morning and I was like, oh wow.
Sticky,
that
Bob.
Is for sure. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Elisa and Matt. I think we're looking at one of the warmest mornings so far this early summer season. Pretty much everybody 80 and above. The exception is Ocean Pines at 78, but 81 in Georgetown and Millsboro, 81 in Delmarva, 81 in Salisbury, 80 in Long Neck, and dew point temperatures still pretty bad in the low to mid 70s. So at this hour, we're talking about feels like temperatures mid to upper 80s, almost 90 in Seaford, feels like 87 in Millsboro. So really steamy. Headed out the door this morning as we're seeing some clouds out there. Nothing in the way of storms. Any kind of storms are up in the New York and Long Island area. Also seeing some showers over the mountains to our west. Otherwise, it says warm and muggy as we're into a southwesterly flow. I am watching this cold front back to the west. That could trigger strong to possibly severe storms as we go into this evening. But ahead of that, warm and muggy conditions as temperatures quickly rise to the 80s this morning. By noon, right around 90 in Millsboro and Salisbury, a little cooler at the beaches, and then lower 90s with a breeze as we go into the afternoon. Then we're watching for those evening showers and storms, torrential rain, and maybe damaging winds. That's the main threat as we go through this evening, as feels like temperatures perhaps in the triple digits ahead of those storms. At least we have that breeze as we go into the afternoon hours. Coming up, I'll talk about the threat for severe weather and also look back to yesterday with a tornado across Sussex County. I'll have the details on that coming up a little bit later on.
All right, we'll look forward to that. Thank you, Bob. Our top story this hour occurred just before midnight. A compromise between Delaware Democrats and Delaware Republicans results in Senate Bill 159 signed into law. That's the one that overrides the Sussex County Council's construction denial of an electric substation in Millsboro. Here's the compromise. Senate Republicans allowed the $977 million capital improvement bill, better known as the bond bill, to go through. In return, implementation of overturning Sussex County's denial is delayed. According to Senate Republicans, the delay allows the lawsuit against alternative energy company U.S. Wind to continue without interference from the state government. More on this compromise is now posted on the CoastTV app and website. And this does bring us to our CoastTV poll. We want to know, should state law be able to override a county council's denial?
And 67% of voters say no, 22% yes, and 11% depends on the project. And if you still haven't voted yet, you can do so on coasttv.com or over on our mobile app. As expected on Monday, Governor Matt Meyer signed his signature to fiscal year 2026 appropriations bill. It is a $6.5 billion plan that includes a 2% raise for teachers, and over $89 million will go towards state employee benefits and post-employment investments. The new fiscal year begins today.
And a Delaware law that was signed 2 years ago goes into effect today. Restaurants in the state are no longer allowed to offer single-use plastics or foam foodware. Also applies to plastic cocktail and sandwich picks. Customers can only get a plastic beverage stirrer upon request. Now, there are some exceptions, such as fire companies and long-term care facilities.
Increased one-year vehicle registration fees take effect this week in Maryland. Among the fee changes are a $10 hike in passenger car registration fees for vehicles under 3,500 pounds, a $30 increase for passenger cars over 3,700 pounds, and a $10 increase for motorcycles. The Maryland Motor Vehicle Administration says the updated rates are keeping with the state's fiscal year 2026 budget.
Ocean City is attempting to improve cellular service for music festivals. This afternoon, Mayor Rick Meehan and the council are reviewing a request by Singular and Verizon to place small cell antennas in the downtown area, specifically to cover the inlet parking lot and the boardwalk between Wacomico Street and First Street. Next big festival in town is late September with Oceans Calling.
Voters in Delaware's 20th district will get a chance to hear directly from the 5 Democratic candidates who could fill a vacant state House seat. That area includes Milton, parts of Lewis, and Nassau. A public forum is set for Thursday, July 3rd at the Lewis Public Library, running from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. No writ of election has been filed yet. The people who will participate in that forum are Alana Berry, Joe Elder, Randy Meredith, Ruby Schaefer, and Keith Steck. That's according to the Sussex County Democratic Committee. The seat opened after Representative Stell Parker Selby resigned following a medical emergency.
Tonight, a developing story in the Indian River District. The school board's looking at possible tax rate changes, and this is scheduled for review at its Tuesday meeting, and it occurs after 2 failed referendums this year. Meeting takes place at 5 p.m. at Indian River High School.
And we are now taking a live look at Washington, D.C., where there is plenty of drama over the spending bill, or what is being called the Big Beautiful Bill, and its status in the Senate. And most Republican senators say they are intending on passing it.
Yeah, well, Democrats are using stall tactics to delay a final vote. NBC's Alice Barr shows us that this is all playing out ahead of a self-imposed July 4th deadline.
On Capitol Hill overnight, the marathon before the sprint as Republicans push to pass President Trump's signature spending and tax cuts bill.
Make sure people's taxes don't go up tomorrow, the next day, forever.
Senators locked in a vote-a-rama, introducing unlimited amendments before a final vote.
We have before us a bill that gives tax breaks to the top 1% that will be paid in cuts to Medicaid, SNAP, and more.
Proposed changes repeatedly shot down, including one from Republican Susan Collins, to increase taxes on the ultra-wealthy in order to boost funding for rural hospitals.
When these facilities close their doors, the people they serve are often left behind without access to health care.
Democrats say Republicans are creating the danger to rural health care through Medicaid cuts and not going far enough to fix it.
It is a Band-Aid on an amputation. It provides just a tiny fraction of the nearly $1 trillion in cuts.
More than 11 million Americans are expected to lose their health care. Republicans argue the overhaul will help keep Medicaid running long term.
We are fiscally making Medicaid more sound.
Also touting the bill's extended tax cuts and billions for defense, deportations, and the border. Spending, the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office estimates, will increase the deficit by more than $3 trillion. President Trump's one-time advisor Elon Musk resuming his online attacks, saying Republicans who campaigned on cutting spending and backed this bill, quote, will lose their primary next year if it is the last thing I do on this earth. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And we're just getting started in this hour of Coast TV News today.
Yeah, coming up, debate over the Delaware Bay, how a New Jersey lawmaker is taking a cue from President Trump.
Also, Sussex County severe weather. We'll tell you what the county experienced and what else could be in store.
And Netflix and NASA take one giant leap. Plans the two companies have that NASA says will make its work more accessible. All that and more as Coast TV News Today continues.
5:11 on this Tuesday morning. Bay Health Cam in Dover. We're at 82 degrees right now, mostly clear skies. Temperatures unbelievably warm into the lower 80s right now. Feels like temperatures in the mid to upper 80s, feeling like middle part of the day out there. And we're looking at satellite picture that's showing mostly dry conditions right now. Any kind of shower activity is farther to our north as we're into a southwesterly flow. Drivecast this morning gave it the green light, warm and humid conditions. And then this afternoon we go from yellow to red this evening as, watch out, we're looking at a hot car conditions as we go into this evening with triple-digit feels-like temperatures. Then watch for storms later on this evening. Some of those strong to severe. I'll break down the impacts of that coming up a little bit later on.
Thank you, Bob. A heads up for drivers in Georgetown. The railroad crossing on Zor Road will be closed around the clock starting Monday, July 14th. DelDOT says the Delmarva Central Railroad crews will resurface and do maintenance work at the crossing between Bethesda Road and Governor Stockley Road. The closure begins at 5 a.m. and will stay in effect 24 hours a day through Friday, July 19th, with work expected to wrap up by 10 p.m. that night.
Maryland State Highway Administration wants to update its vulnerable road user assessment. Here's what that means. It is people who have a higher chance of being killed or injured in a crash, like pedestrians or bicyclists. Now, there's an online survey open through August 7th. The Highway Administration is also hosting a virtual public hearing on July 8th from 4 to 8 p.m.
NASA is teaming up with Netflix to stream its content this summer. The space agency announced rocket launches, spacewalks, and mission coverage will be available on the streaming platform. NASA says this will make its work in science and exploration more accessible. Schedules and programming details will be announced closer to the launch.
Lisa, here's one that's near and dear to my heart. EA Sports is jumping back into the world of college basketball. Last time the company released a college basketball game, that was back in 2009. This new game will feature both men's and women's teams. However, we'll have to wait for a while before we can play it. The outlet Extra Points is reporting a 2028 release of the game. Bob, let's get that PlayStation fired up for that.
I think I'll have to dust mine off as well, Matt. It's been a while since I played. Salisbury right now, 81. Beautiful sunrise in progress. We're looking at another hot and humid day. Then the potential for strong to severe storms this evening. I'll talk about the impacts and then a beautiful 4th of July holiday weekend on the way. I'll have your full forecast details coming up in 2 minutes. Stay tuned.
We're about to hit 5:16 on this Tuesday morning, and we're checking out the live scene in Ocean City. Calm look there, Bob, but boy, we did have a bit of a scare yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, we did, Matt. We had this flare-up of storms basically east of 113 during the afternoon hours, and then we had damage consistent with a tornado, and that was near the Frankfort area in Sussex County. Right here, north and east of Frankfort, we had large tree branches down on roads. We had several videos via social media supporting the fact that this was a weak tornado. The Weather Service, I believe, is going out today to survey the damage to see just exactly what we have here. But more than likely an EF0, possibly an EF1, but we'll keep you apprised of that situation. Very warm out the door this morning. Look at this, a lower 80s, some upper 70s from Willards to Ocean Pines, but extremely warm, extremely muggy with dew points in the low to mid 70s. Feels like temperatures into the mid to upper 80s. So feeling more like late morning or noon instead of the early morning hours, as we are looking at quite a bit in the way of clouds. Any kind of showers or storms are up in the New York area, back through Maryland right now, as we're in the warm sector, a warm front well to our north. We're in a southwesterly flow, and we're looking at a cold front back to the west with showers and storms. That front will be advancing through this evening, giving us that potential for severe weather. Then behind it, this is our weather for the 4th of July. Beautiful high pressure, lower humidity, gorgeous conditions, but we have to get through the storms first and the heat and humidity, as Futurecast is showing us in the mid 80s mid-morning. By noon, we're in the low 90s. At least there's a bit of a breeze, but it's going to be a hot, muggy breeze. By mid-afternoon, lower 90s. Then we're watching for those storms. Eastern Shore around 5 p.m. They're moving into Sussex County. Very heavy rain possible. Torrential rain is possible. We'll have to watch for that. Maybe some local flooding. And I'm concerned about damaging winds. Make sure those outdoor items are secured. Otherwise, we're looking at lingering showers as we go through the overnight. Maybe a rumble of thunder continuing as we go into Wednesday morning. Still a lingering shower into early Wednesday, and then we'll finally start to dry it out, I think, in the afternoon. But look at noon on this model, still blows up showers. I don't know about that. But then we finally dry it out later Wednesday and into Thursday morning. Much better Thursday morning, lower humidity, 60s and low 70s. And then by the afternoon hours, we're looking at temperatures in the upper 80s, but the humidity humidity much lower and lots of sunshine. We are looking at a slight risk of severe weather eastern shore and parts of Sussex County for the threat of damaging winds. And once again, maybe some flash flooding. Lower chances through Salisbury, Berlin, and Ocean View. Feels like temperatures in the triple digits ahead of those storms as we go into this afternoon, and much more comfortable as we go through time, and looking great. Thursday through the weekend, a beautiful 4th of July, lower humidity, temperatures in the 80s and 90s. And our muggy meter, we're looking at very humid conditions. And then we're finally getting into the comfortable range as we go into Friday, Saturday, maybe a little more humidity by Sunday, but still pretty tolerable. Paul Davis 7-day forecast, last day of lower 90s for a while with the humidity, watching for the threat for severe weather this evening. Still a little unsettled Wednesday, 83, and then drying out for the end of the week. Looking great on the 4th for your outdoor festivities, 86. The weekend looking good, upper 80s dry, partly cloudy, and then lower 90s on Monday. Congratulations to Agnes Rennie from Ocean City, Maryland, on winning a brand new umbrella from Paul Davis and Coast TV.
All right, thanks, Bob. Let's stay with this tornado situation. The National Weather Service confirmed there was a tornado that touched down near Frankfurt Monday, just after 1 p.m. Take a look at your screen here. You can see some of the damage. Nothing too extreme there. The National Weather Service still has to conduct a survey to determine the exact intensity of the tornado. And this damage is in the backyard of Tina Moore.
I noticed everything started swirling, and some metal and some other debris started flying by. The roof came off the run-in, and that run-in just got destroyed, and a lot of other things got destroyed and moved around. Some really heavy items got moved around, and sure enough, when I looked back on the cameras, it looked like we had a little tornado here.
In addition to the tornado, we had reports of flooding in several areas on Delmarva.
New this morning, a Berlin man will spend the next 15 years behind bars after being convicted of setting multiple fires across Worcester County. 38-year-old Felix Rounds Jr. was sentenced to 40 years with all but 15 years suspended, according to the Worcester County State's Attorney. Round was also ordered to complete mental health counseling for pyromania and pay $12,000 in restitution to the victims. The fires happened between November 2023 and March 2024.
Also new this morning, July is National Vehicle Theft Prevention Month, and Maryland State Police are sharing some helpful tips. According to State Police, a car is stolen in Maryland every 22 minutes, and thefts surge during the summer. Here's what they recommend. Lock all doors and windows and take your keys, park in well-lit areas, and never leave your car running unattended.
Still ahead, debate over Delaware Bay. We'll tell you why some people say a proposed name change would be more work than it's worth. Don't go anywhere.
Cute puppy photos are being used by scammers to steal your money without delivering a dog at all. That's according to Ocean City Police. They say red flags to watch for are suspiciously low prices, sellers refusing to meet in person, pressure to pay up front, often with gift cards or apps like PayPal, and only wanting to text or email instead of talking by phone or video chat. Now, police say if it feels too good to be true, it probably is.
Well, as a New Jersey native, this is something I'm staying out of. There's a proposal to rename the Delaware Bay the Bay of New Jersey. New Jersey State Senator Mike Testa is proposing the change in reaction to President Trump's renaming of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. People in Delaware, though, say no way.
Why? I mean, number one, the Delaware River feeds into the Delaware Bay. But the other problem with it is it's really expensive. If you're going to change the name of the Delaware Bay, every map has to change, all the signage has to change.
And the Delaware Bay is about 782 square miles. And we have another warm and humid day at the beach. Pack plenty of water if you're planning on hitting the sand today, which I'm sure a lot of people will be.
I got to go back to that last story. I liked how you are staying neutral on this one.
Yeah, you know, as a New Jersey person, I learned to just stay out of things sometimes. Yes.
All right. Well, whether it's the bay or the beach, Bob, might be a good day to hop in the water.
Yeah, boy, it's going to be another hot one, guys. We're looking at temperatures in the 80s today from Ocean City up to Fenwick Island, mid to upper 80s. Rip current threat is low. UV index index is very high. Waves, little itty bitty waves around 1 to 2 feet. Close to 90 in Lewis and Rehoboth. And on the bay side, heads up for showers and storms as we go into this evening. Some packing a punch with damaging winds and torrential rain. At Crisfield, 80s today, upper 80s, and then those evening storms. Some of those could be severe. I'll have more on that and a beautiful 4th of July holiday weekend coming up in the next half hour.
And after the break on Coast TV News today, improving internet service will tell you what solutions Ocean City officials could discuss today.
Also, Delaware dumps plastics, what the implementation of a bill signed in 2023 means for your dining experience.
And alleged overreach reaches compromise will tell you about the give and take that could make way for the substation in Sussex County. Coast TV News today. We'll be right back.
Now on Coast TV News.
Late hour deal, the big compromise between Delaware Democrats and Republicans that allows for the signing of the controversial substation bill.
Fee hike hits, how Maryland drivers will pay more with the car registration.
Targeting tech improvement, the plan to improve cellular service at the southern end of the Ocean City Boardwalk that gets reviewed today.
A hot and humid day for Delmarva, then the potential for strong to possibly severe storms this evening. Then rain lingers into Wednesday, then a gorgeous 4th of July holiday weekend on the way. Forecast details coming up.
This is Coast TV News Today.
First 2025. Good morning, everybody. I'm Matt Pensick. Good morning, Elisa.
Good morning, Matt. Good morning. I'm Elisa Weber. Thank you for joining us.
And we're closing in on 5:30 a.m. and just a few hours into a brand new month.
I don't know. I mean, I know you can see outside that the months change and you can feel it, but it doesn't feel real to me that it's July.
Yeah,
I know it
time
literally
flies,
just happened.
I think is what they say.
I think they do, and yeah, I can't believe we're in July already. But the weather feels like we're in July.
Feels like summer.
It does. We're going to bring
maybe
in
because we are in summer.
I think so. We're going to bring in first alert meteorologist Bob Triady to tell us more about this hot, sticky weather we're experiencing already, Bob.
Yeah, we're seeing hot and sticky weather at 5:30 in the morning. This is the warmest morning we've seen in a long time, at least for the summer. Most of us in the low 80s this morning, a couple of exceptions, Willards and Ocean Pines in the upper 70s, but it's very warm out there and it's very muggy with dew point temperatures in the low to mid 70s. Look at these feels like temperatures this early. Feels like 87 in Seaford, 85 in Georgetown, Long Neck 85. Feels like mid 80s at the beaches. Nothing in the way of rain. We are seeing some clouds. Any kind of rain is farther to the north, New York, Long Island, southern New England, and also seeing some showers into Maryland as we're in a southwesterly flow right now. And we do have a cold front back to our west, well to our west, so much of the day is hot and humid. Then we're watching for evening storms. And on Futurecast, you can see how we quickly warm through the 80s into the low 90s by noon and 80s and 90s at the beaches. So a good looking beach day, very hot inland areas. And then here come the storms, I think, after about 5 p.m. Heavy rain, maybe damaging winds with some of these, and maybe some flooding as we head into the evening hours, and feels like temperatures ahead of the storms in the triple digits. And riding the ferry up to Cape May, looking at temperatures in the 80s and 90s with a nice breeze. I think you're in good shape weather-wise through the day, but heads up this evening for the potential of severe weather.
Thank you, Bob. And our top story this half hour is the final hour for the General Assembly this year. The controversial bill that overrides the Sussex County Council's denial of a substation construction in Millsboro was signed into law, but not without some compromise. As Delaware's General Assembly was wrapping up its legislative session today, lawmakers faced a packed agenda. Senate Republicans allowed the $977 million capital improvement bill, better known as the bond bill, to go through. In return, implementation of overriding Sussex County's denial is delayed. According to Senate Republicans, the delay allows the lawsuit against alternative energy company U.S. Wind to continue without interference from the state government. And more on this compromise is now posted on CoastTV.com and on our app.
Starting today, Delaware restaurants no longer be allowed to offer single-use plastics or foam foodware. That's because a 2023 bill is going into effect. It also applies to plastics, cocktail, and sandwich picks. Customers can only get a plastic beverage stirrer upon request. Now, there's some exemptions, such as fire companies and long-term care facilities.
Happening today in Ocean City, working to improve internet service at the inlet, specifically for big music festivals. Mayor Rick Meehan and the council are scheduled to review a proposal from cellular carriers to add antennas in the area of the pier and the south end of the boardwalk. The Ocean City Council is looking at AT&T to add cameras to the tops of those poles for assisting law enforcement in the area.
Increased one-year vehicle registration fees take effect this week in Maryland. Among the fee changes are a $10 hike in passenger car registration for vehicles under 3,500 pounds. There's a $30 increase for passenger cars over 3,700 pounds and a $10 increase for motorcycles. The Maryland Motor Vehicle Administration says the updated rates are keeping with the state's fiscal year 2026 budget.
New this morning, Worcester County commissioners will meet to discuss possible road projects. According to the agenda, there will be a public hearing to discuss funding for the Lewis Road project. Questions and comments from locals will be heard at the end of that meeting. This will take place at 9 a.m. at the Worcester County Government Center.
We're now taking a live look at Washington, D.C. Lawmakers spent a part of last night there in that building for an overnight vote-a-rama. It involves the president's sweeping domestic policy bill. That's the nickname for that period when lawmakers can offer unlimited amendments. What the president calls his big, beautiful bill still needs approval in the Senate.
As Amy Kiley shows us, after all of the sleep deprivation, it's still unclear whether Senate Republicans can pass that bill.
I know people are weary.
The Senate could hold a final floor vote today on President Donald Trump's sweeping budget plan. Democrats keep trying to delay it, most recently by proposing dozens of amendments. They say Americans need time to consider their perspective.
This bill steals people's health care, jacks up their electricity bill, takes away their jobs, all to pay for tax breaks for billionaires.
Republicans have a different take.
It addresses military modernization. It addresses securing our border. It addresses restoring energy dominance. It extends tax relief for the American people.
It's still uncertain if the bill will pass. Republicans can only spare 3 votes, and some are on the fence. Senator Tom Tillis says he's a no over his concerns that qualified Medicaid recipients could lose coverage under the bill. Senator Rand Paul says he's worried about adding trillions to the deficit, so he's out. Senator John Curtis opposes newly added taxes on wind and solar energy. It's also unclear how Senators Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins will vote, since they broke with their party on Medicaid amendments. If the bill does pass, it'll head back to the House, where it faces an uncertain fate.
There's a lot of us on the House side that are worried about with the Senate bill, and I think we'll have a hard time passing.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
New overnight, Brian Koberger, the man charged in the stabbing deaths of 4 University of Idaho students, appears to be ready to accept a plea deal. That's according to the victim's family and their attorney. This comes just weeks ahead of his murder trial that was scheduled to begin on August 11th in Boise. Koberger was likely to face the death penalty for the 2022 murders of 4 University of Idaho students. Seattle U law professor Deidre Bowen says the news of this plea deal surprised her.
We know that there's at least one family that objects to this plea, and it is highly, highly rare that a prosecutor for such an egregious case would agree to a plea deal.
As we just heard, some legal experts acknowledge how tough the likelihood is of these victims' families.
We have a lot more news to get to. Don't go anywhere.
Coming up, Salisbury sloth doesn't suffer. We'll tell you how zoo officials say they took a compassionate approach to the beloved animal's illness.
Also, Milford and Polytech at DE Turf, the highlights of Summer League boys lacrosse action.
And tough Texas fire will show you what crews dealt with as they fought flames in the Lone Star State. Stay with us on Coast TV News Today.
5:39 on this very warm and muggy Wednesday morning. Salisbury, 81 right now, feeling much warmer with the humidity. Some upper 70s, Willards, Dagsboro, Ocean Pines, but incredibly mild and warm. Temperatures in the low 80s with the humidity feeling like mid to upper 80s. As we're seeing some clouds out there, nothing in the way of showers. Any kind of shower or storms are up in the New York area right now as we have a southwesterly flow. And if you're headed out to the golf course today, I think you're looking good as far as not seeing storms as hot and humid weather. Make sure you stay hydrated with water. Then this evening, keep an eye to the sky. We could be looking at severe weather with very heavy rain and damaging winds. Call the Coast TV First Alert weather phone. It's sponsored by Brockstead Mandalis Federico.
First responders in Texas on the scene of a fire burning at a tire recycling facility. You can see that heavy black smoke billowing across the highway. So far, evacuations have been limited. However, officials are warning people to avoid the area as crews work to contain that fire, and there's no word on what caused the fire.
The Laurel Fire Department is accepting some donations to help beat the heat on Monday. Laurel Fire Chief Jeff Hill says the stretch of hot weather depleted their hydration supply, so they're accepting water bottles, Gatorade, Liquid IV, and other electrolyte drinks.
It's going a long way with our people, keeping them rehabbed and keeping them hydrated, because with this hot weather, it does take long to get dehydrated when we're out here in the sun for long periods of time, and it goes a long way with helping us maintain our balance of what we need to do to keep our people hydrated.
Chief Hill says they've already had a great turnout. Earlier Monday afternoon, they had already gotten 14 cases of water and 7 cases of Gatorade.
Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
First week of July means we're well into Summer League action up at DE Turf, and this game looked like it last night in Frederica. Upper 80s on the artificial grass last night. Milford and Polytech High School boys of the cross rocking the no sleeves and facing off in what was a good one. We're going to start this thing off with Ashton Fury's goal, and it's 1-0 Buccos. And then Polytech will respond. How about Eli Holy threading the needle? And that's going to make it a 1-1 game. This guy here, they call him Nemo, and he shows that he can find any kind of goal. It's a 2-1 lead for the Panthers as they jump in front for the first time. Milford fighting back now. Carson Freenall letting it rip and delivering. It's 2-2. Polytech's Gage Costanzo facing off with Milford's goalie Peyton Shockley. He's able to put it past him and find some twine. 3-2 Poly in front. Mackard from Milford charging towards Cage. Lets it rip. 5-hole. That's a goal. 3-3 your score. And right before halftime, Nemo gonna find another. The dodge, the rip, top shelf. 4-3 your score at the break. Then we go to the second half. It's Costanzo dodging the defense and a howitzer from range. Polytech up by 2. It's 5-3. Costanzo just kept it grooving. 6-3 your score. Polytech would go on to take down Milford by a final of 6-5. And the rest for our Summer League action, be sure to hit our website, DelmarvaSportsNetwork.com.
Coming up tonight on DSN at 7, the Shorebirds begin a series at Purdue with the Fredericksburg Nationals, and then it's the final score at 10:30. And over on the DSN Plus app at 6, high school field hockey at DE Turf, and at 6:30 we have Delmarva Pony League Baseball.
Today in entertainment news, the final chapter in the Downton Abbey saga and your first look at a thriller about humanity's last chance. Here's David Daniel with today's Hollywood Minute.
The world is changing. The way we talk, the way we dress, the way we deal with each other.
Surely you're entitled to have some fun.
Classic Mary.
It's 1930 and change is coming to Downton Abbey. The official trailer is out for Downton Abbey, the grand finale, billed as the last chapter in the story of the Crawley family and their devoted staff. The film opens in theaters September 12th.
Please state your name.
Rodman Grace. I just woke up from a coma. I'm several light years from my apartment. And I'm not an astronaut. I'm not an astronaut. I'm not an astronaut.
If you don't go, you die. We're the rest of us.
Here's your first look at Ryan Gosling as a middle school science teacher with a doctorate in molecular biology who's drafted to save the world in Project Hail Mary. The science fiction adventure is directed by Spider-Verse creators Phil Lord and Christopher Miller and based on the novel by Andy Weir, whose previous book also got the big screen treatment, The Martian. Project Hail Mary launches in theaters March 20th, 2026. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
If you're having a rough week, you can cheer up with a weekly dose of local good news from CoastTV with personal features, fun things to do each weekend, and more. You can sign up right now for free at CoastTV.com and get your weekly dose of joy directly to your inbox on Friday.
We're seeing lots of clouds in Ocean City, incredibly warm, 81 to start the day, and we're looking at another hot and humid day. Then the potential for strong to possibly severe storms this evening. Then the best part is the 4th of July holiday weekend. Looking great for that. But I'll talk about possible impacts from storms this evening coming up in 2 minutes. Stay tuned.
5:46, and we are taking a live look outside at Salisbury on this very warm Tuesday morning. Bob, honestly, I think it's hot. It's The air was thick outside. I was pretty shocked when I walked outside. I was like, okay, it is really early and the sun's not even out and it's already warm.
It's already low 80s. I mean, it's hot. Yeah, definitely hot. But this is the last really hot day that we're going to see for a while, thankfully, because we get stormy this evening, but ahead of the storms, hot and sunny. And then we have that severe threat this evening, maybe damaging winds and flash flooding. Those are the two main impacts. And then mid to late week looking great with high pressure, lower humidity, a beautiful 4th of July on the way. We continue to watch we had a tornado yesterday, a possible tornado north and east of Frankfurt. At least the damage was looking like a tornado, and they'll send a survey team out there today, so we'll keep you apprised to see if this was maybe an EF0 or an EF1. Temperatures out the door once again very warm, upper 70s and low 80s right now. We've got dew point temperatures in the low to mid 70s. Once again, it's that air you can wear. Feels like temperatures already in some cases in the mid to upper 80s. Just really gross out there. We're looking at some clouds right now. Nothing in the way of precipitation, any kind of rain or storms across Long Island, southern New England. Also some showers now across western Maryland as we're in a strong southwesterly flow. So we're going to be dry all day long, but here comes the front that we're watching. It's still well to our west across the Ohio Valley, some showers and thunderstorms. And then once that moves in this evening, that will give us that chance of severe weather. And then behind this front, a gorgeous air mass. And this is the weather that we'll be seeing for the 4th of July holiday weekend. This morning, quickly rising temperatures through the 80s. We're already in the 80s. By noon, we're in the upper 80s to around 90 inland areas, even Lewis around 90 with 83 in Dewey Beach, and then lower 90s inland areas this afternoon with a southwesterly breeze. Then we're watching for those storms this evening. After about 5 p.m., they start to move into the eastern shore, then into Sussex County with very heavy rain, maybe damaging winds as well. Make sure you secure those outdoor items. Still looking at storms this evening, but I don't think they'll be severe as we go through this evening and overnight. Showers, a lingering storm possible into Wednesday morning. Even as we go into the noon hour, we still could look at some showers. Then we finally start to dry it out as we go into the afternoon and evening hours. And then we go into your Thursday and beginning much drier with temperatures in the 60s and low 70s. It's going to be warm Thursday afternoon, but at least the humidity is much lower with 80s to close to 90 degrees. We do have a slight chance of seeing severe weather for the eastern shore, a good chunk of Sussex County, especially north of Highway 9, Seaford up to Dover, and then lower chance of Salisbury, Berlin, Ocean View. Once again, damaging winds maybe in excess of 60 miles per hour, and maybe some torrential rain, and maybe some flooding in poor drainage areas, as we could see at least at half an inch of rain, and some places over an inch of rain, maybe more. This is a very juicy atmosphere. Ahead of the storms, we're looking at triple-digit feels-like temperatures this afternoon, and then much better as we go into tomorrow, and looking great once again Thursday into the weekend for the 4th of July. Lower humidity, temperatures in the 80s and 90s. As we look at the muggy meter, we're very humid, but then we see things begin to dry out. We're in the comfy range by Friday, and I think the humidity is still pretty decent into the weekend. Paul Davis, 7-day forecast, 92 with storms later this evening, tonight lingering into tomorrow morning, and then Wednesday, 83, 89 Thursday, the 4th of July. Lots of sunshine, gorgeous for the cookout. Fireworks in the evening, 86, and the weekend looking good. Upper 80s. I think the humidity still held in check pretty good, partly cloudy, and then dry, a little warmer on Monday, a high of 91.
A wind turbine blade blocked multiple lanes of traffic on a busy Maryland highway Monday morning. The video shows the blade lying across I-70, blocking 1 westbound and 2 eastbound lanes. The Maryland State Highway Administration said a truck had been carrying the blade, although it's not clear how it ended up blocking the flow of traffic.
I have some sad news from the Salisbury Zoo. The beloved two-toed sloth Bayou has passed away at just 4 years old. Zoo staff say Bayou had shown signs of rapid decline, including weight loss and loss of appetite. Testing revealed she had end-stage kidney disease. The team had to make that tough decision to humanely euthanize her to prevent suffering. Bayou arrived at Salisbury Zoo in 2022 from the Audubon Zoo and quickly became a favorite among staff and visitors.
The time is now 5:51, and we are going to check in with our coastal pet of the day.
Yeah, today's coastal pet of the day appears to be tired from being the best bud. On your screen now is this pup who's all worn out from his best man duties. Keeping the bride and groom on time is hard work.
That is.
But someone has to do it. Best part of the wedding party was submitted to us by Kathy in Longneck.
Oh, I love that. We want to see more of your pets on Delmarva. Send us photos and tell us what makes them so special. You can take a look at your screen.
Yeah, top center there's that QR code. Scan it to get your friends to us, and then watch weekdays from 5 to 7 a.m. to see all the pets we feature.
Some lower court judges will have to revisit their decisions on transgender health plans and birth certificates. The Supreme Court tossed aside a handful of lower court rulings that sided with transgender Americans. This comes in the wake of a blockbuster ruling this month that upheld a ban on gender-affirming care for trans youth. The justices upended rulings that blocked state policies from excluding coverage for gender-affirming care in state-sponsored health insurance plans.
Lawmakers are demanding answers about whether Pfizer delayed a COVID-19 vaccine announcement for political reasons. The House Judiciary Committee alleges that former executive Dr. Philip Dormitzer said Pfizer delayed announcing that its COVID-19 was effective until after the 2020 presidential election. Pfizer's announcement about the effectiveness of its COVID-19 vaccine came nearly a week after Election Day, and Pfizer's CEO has denied any political moves, saying the timing was unrelated to the election.
The Supreme Court has rejected a challenge to part of the Affordable Care Act. It's related to the panel that recommended non-cost preventative health care. Issuers have to cover the panel's recommended prevention service at no cost. The appeal could have impacted millions of Americans' access to preventative health care. That's because cost-free preventative care makes people more likely to get screenings and other services to detect diseases at an earlier stage. And the time is now 5:56. We're going to take another quick look at our forecast.
Bob, it seems like we got more of the same today when you compare it to Monday.
I would think so. Yeah, rinse, repeat, more hot and humid weather. But this is the last really hot, humid day. Day part forecast has sunshine. Temperatures quickly warming through the 80s into the low 90s today. At least we get a southwesterly breeze and feels like temperatures very hot once again into the lower triple digits. So make sure you stay hydrated. Then this evening we are watching for that potential of severe weather, torrential rain, maybe damaging winds. So keep that in mind. Paul Davis 10-day forecast, 83 on Wednesday, lingering showers and storms. 89 Thursday, looking great for the 4th. Sunshine, 86, lower humidity. And I think that nice weather continues right into the weekend with upper 80s. Typical summer weather next week, maybe some more storms Wednesday and Thursday.
All right, thanks, Bob. And coming up in our next hour, Delaware dealing a compromise that allows the governor to sign into law the controversial substation bill. That and more when Coast TV News Today continues.